All right. I think we are live. Let me make sure real quick. Oops. One sec. Okay. We are live. Welcome. Welcome everybody. Those who will wait for a few people to join. Mr. Inspector, thanks for being here.
I just clicked just click the button over here 3 times. Ignore these. I didn't know what the button did.
Oh.
Serves me right. That's
Oh,
we
now
just
she got
got
me.
spammed in our comments about some type of StreamYard promotion. So
Oh,
that was my fault. That is
here,
not intentional. And ignore those.
I can delete them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're here just to see if you guys want to call in. We're gonna review, or we're gonna review a few videos and just see what comes up. Um, and I have a video here of a GOC monk that kind of explains kind of the basis of what we have come to find. So we'll go ahead and play that. Does that sound good to you?
Hit it.
All right, we start over.
And the church calendar can
This is to do with the calendar change in the 20s.
and the church calendar can be seen, especially in the last few centuries, as being kind of protective fence around the church to differentiate us from the non-Orthodox. And we feel that very, very keenly in this nativity season, the nativity fast. We're keeping the fast and a strict fast while everyone else is having a lot of fun celebrating. But we observe the feast, of course, in its spiritual significance and with its true spiritual joy on the January 7th, according to the civil calendar. But it's really, much as anything, that is to the detriment of the unity of the church. When some of us are fasting, others are feasting. More importantly, though, it has to do with the underlying agenda that brought this calendar change to fruition in the life of the church, and it's precisely in that context of what I call the farcical 1923 Congress in Constantinople, convoked by Bishop Ledis Metexakis, which wasn't actually pan-Orthodox. Only a few of the churches were represented, not even necessarily by clergy, in some cases by laymen who weren't even theologians. One was an astronomer, for example. And they touted it as a means of fostering progress, as it were, within the Orthodox Church and modernizing it, making the calendar more accurate. But it's really served the aims of ecumenism, celebrating the great feast of the Christian world as it was put together with both East and West, as enunciated in the 1920 encyclical from the Patriarchate, which is really the golden charter, quote unquote, for the ecumenical movement. So it's really the calendar change is actuated by the desire to promote a false kind of unity, a merely political and social kind of unity, not unity in the truth, which is the only kind of unity to be worthwhile. After all, it might just remind you that the great Father George Swarovski never tired of reminding his audiences, even at the risk of causing some offense to the Protestants at the World Council of Churches, that the only real path to unity in Orthodoxy is Christian unity, is unity in the Orthodox Church, return of all non-Orthodox to the Orthodox Church. And I think Chrysostomos will undoubtedly have said the same thing. Anyway, as you can see from that quote that I mentioned kind of at the last minute, he wasn't against the search for true unity, but it had to be done with proper criteria and with proper intention. So that's, in a nutshell, is the ecclesiological dimension of this, and especially the issue of worship. And after all, it's in our worship that we're most closely united together with Christ and with each other. And if we're not keeping the feasts and the fasts in a synchronized way, we imperil that unity, make mockery of it.
Oops. So that's really, what do you he's talking about fast and feast obviously as like the visual and physical example of what that impeded on that calendar change, but like the unity and truth, you know. Why do you why do you feel what makes you think that that's so important, or that that's such a good point to press forward with unity and truth, Josh? Like, what do you?
It's
I don't mean to
I
catch you
think
off guard, but like,
no, what we've harped on, we've harped on a lot, which is again scripturally, we like it's been the echoing of the saints for 2,000 years, and it's written in the scriptures. We're called to be of one mind. That's of the utmost importance, because if we're not unified in the objective truth, which is Christ, you start to fragment into well, really, it's you start to fragment. It becomes what is the modern world today in the 15 million different heretical denominations of so-called Christianity, all claiming to be that which they are not. And how dangerous that is, because again, ironically, it's all in the scriptures. It's what's warned against. And we've talked about this over and over and over again. We keep banging this drum, but we can't literally you can't say it enough, because it's it's what's going on all around us, and until you see it, you're blind. Like you don't really see it. That um everybody, I mean, in the post truth age of which we're living in right now, where everybody is making up their own truth, and everything's subject, specifically in the West, what he just got done saying, moving the calendar to be united with, you know
with what,
with Western Christianity, which was heretical, to pander to that for unity's sake, when it's just like, again, it's like right there. How this got so complicated and convoluted, when it's so simple to see that move being made. And of course, when you get down into the micro of all the events that transpired around when that move was made, it's like, but just the macro of what took place, it's like, w- where do you think that's headed? Do we not know how this story, what the last chapter of this story, how it unfolds? The uniting, the false peace, the false unity. What do you think that's leading to? You're pandering to heretics. It's not the other way around. It's not the heretics going, whoa, whoa, whoa. Maybe we got something wrong. Maybe we need to reassess. Maybe we need to seek reconciliation. And that's the other way around. No, we need to pander to the heretics, because that's going to somehow, you know, the official logic that is used in world orthodoxy, at least that we were exposed to, is that's going to be the catalyst of how we're going to get them to finally see that we're the real church, because we're so loving and accepting. It's like, no. But then there's also, I think, there's a darker, more malevolent agenda behind all of it, which is that unity driven by secular authorities for a one world global government, of which we haven't dived in quite as extensively on that, which we probably will a lot more in the future. But it's crazy. It's crazy to see the the rationalization. But to answer your question, like, the importance of that unity cannot be overstated, because it's it's what guides us. It's
yeah.
how we collectively move forward as a unit, as a body together, and we identify with with the tradition that was handed down, and and how we are identified, how it's how we're guided. It's our lampstand.
Yeah, it's like everybody is drawn to it, or everybody has the drive to find it. You know, it's just there's so many, and there's no telling how many there are, but there's so many little pitfalls along the way, or
Yep.
some chasms. You know,
Yes.
um, but that drive to, and then the people, you know, if they fall into one of these, they have to decide whether that's it for them or if they keep going, you know? That does
Yep.
that drive keep you get you out of that to keep going? Yeah, I think it's honestly a lifelong thing.
Right.
I think you ever I don't think you can ever feel it, you know? But
Yeah. No.
well,
No. It's a lifelong journey. 100%.
yep. So, for just to have on, or to kind of review as we go along and wait for if anybody wants to call in, I put the link in the comments. You just click that, and it'll take you here, and we'll get you on. If you're watching and want to come on and talk about anything, feel free. Um, so we're gonna pull up a video here. This is a channel called Gentle Breeze. I don't know him personally or her or whoever, but they put together this video, and this are we in a state similar? Okay, Charlie said, "Are we in a state similar to Daniel and Babylon, in the world and not of the world? Even looking at modern Protestantism as much as the current world systems." Can you see that?
Yep. Reading it.
Yeah. Are we in a state?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely to a degree, yes. I mean, we're living in the neo. Oh, well, as far as Babylon goes, I mean, look at just in our country. Look at the architecture and the symbolism. I mean, Statue of Liberty. That's not. Nobody ever asked the question, who is she? Oh, it's Lady Liberty. Yeah, but who? Yeah, but like that's just a made up character that we got from the French that has no deeper meaning other than some woman that they created named Lady Liberty. No, it's Asheroth. It's the fertility goddess. Like nobody ever like nobody looks at these things.
The
The gold
Washington
the gold
Monument.
at the financial capital, arguably, if not the second, if not the first, most certainly the second capital of the entire world. There's a giant golden bull. Must be a coincidence. Then go out west, where all of our television and all of our entertainment and all our movies, at least up until recently, were primarily that was Mecca for all of it. You walk down, because I remember this vividly. I remember the day that it finally dawned on me. You're walking down Hollywood Boulevard and you look over and you see this giant golden arch next to the Chinese theater, not too far down from the Chinese theater. And you're like, what is that? Off of the movie set or something? What is this, Raiders of the Lost Ark? And then you actually look into it and you realize, oh my, holy crap, that's the that's literally um that is the um I'm drawing a complete blank now.
The
It's
arch,
the yes, it's the arch
the
of
ball, or balls, isn't it?
yes,
Like a,
yes,
almost seen as like a portal or something. You know?
yeah, but it's Babylonian
Yeah.
affiliated, and then you walk down to where they do the Oscars. Uh, Again, Hollywood Boulevard, and there's a placard on the wall before you walk in. That is a commemoration to the Hall of Babylon. This is
Yeah.
not all. This is not just like, oh, you're just making this stuff up. It's you can buy a plane ticket, go fly to LA, and go walk down Hollywood Boulevard. Don't take my word for it. Like it's there. and you realize, oh, wait a second, like this is not all just like the reality that we're living in is not this society that we're living in is not just this like everything's just like, oh, that's cute, that's a nice you know,
Oh, I saw that in
that's
a
a
movie.
prop.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a prop. And
that's
that's just that must be a coincidence over there. Eventually, statistically speaking, it builds on itself to such a degree that you realize, oh, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Take it a step further. You know, because I heard it said like we're living in we're living in some type of chimera hybrid between the Neo Roman Empire and Neo Babylon. Because I mean, again, then go to any basically most any major city. What do you see in the Western world? Giant coliseums
yep.
where the bread and circuses take place. Like, not much has changed. And you start to realize when you study these cultures of antiquity that we are so crazy similar. Just everything from governmental practice to everything post enlightenment. It's like these pagan, these pagan civilizations have been resurrected from the abyss and we're living in them again.
Charlie, could you
I
be while we're keep talking here, just could you reiterate or restate the part where you're talking about you said even looking at modern Protestantism as much as the current world systems. Could you be more specific on that part of it? Unless you understand what he's saying right there, Josh.
Yeah, I think I understand what he's saying, and like correct us if we're misunderstanding you. Uh, Ch- Char Charl
It's
13
Charlie, I guess.
7. Yeah,
Yeah.
but talking about Daniel and Babylon, are we in a state similar to Daniel and Babylon? Is the question I believe he's posing,
Yeah.
and then giving emphasis in the or context in the world and not of the world. Even looking at modern Protestantism as much as the current world systems, tech, banking, mammon, just the culture that we're living in. Yeah,
Yep.
like Daniel living in Babylon. We're the stranger in the strange land. I think
But
I
then
think we're I think we're
when it
tracking.
came to worship, what did he do? You know, he didn't falter or give in to any type of
Yeah, yeah.
he was still in the world though. So
We're in like the Brave New World version of Babylon because it's like to his. I don't know what point he's making with the Protestantism, but if I'm taking a stab at it, I'm thinking like Protestantism is like the Babylonian religion because it is. It's a post enlightenment bastardization of Christianity, and it's like posing as the real church, but yet um it's purely um it's so secular in nature that it's just one and the same with the culture that it's created. It's really just enlightenment. It's an enlightenment philosophy is really what it is. Subjective interpretation tied loosely to the canon of scripture that um
is
tries to
up for interpretation.
yeah, that's completely open to interpretation to every individual, which creates this like every man creates his own manifest destiny and this deist designed like Twilight Zone. I look at it as like this Twilight Zone hellscape that this country is, and people are like, "Oh, I mean, clearly you've never been to, a communist country." Yeah, actually, I have. It's just like pick your poison. It's like once the scales fall from your eyes and you realize what this culture and society called America, or just really the West in general, but specifically our country because we're the edge of Western civilization, and you see what it really is. It honest to God, you you, you can't ever unsee it. Our culture is designed as this like human it's a human trap. Like
A soul
it's
trap.
it's a soul trap, 1,000%. And I think Saint Seraphim Rose knew that. That in his writings, he saw it because you know I had a similar life experience, um shy of maybe the homosexuality, but as far as he was very worldly and very very culture, very into the arts. I was That's, that was one entire era of my season of my life. And like, I when you get to see and you indulge in and you see all like what the culture is comprised of, and you see how it's designed and how it operates, and what it does, and you reach the end of it, and you see the ultimate conclusion of like what our culture is, and not like from every conceivable angle, and you suddenly realize, my God, it's a mirage and it's a trap. It's a cardboard cutout. It's all fake. It's a delusion. All of it is. All of our industry, to his point, all of our industry. What did he say? And he specifically said tech, banking, mammon. Like, I think I know where he's going. I would take it. I'll say pharmaceuticals. Like, you name it. Every industry. Like, it's all like, you know so much. All again, it's all kabbalistic. It's all occult based. All of it
In
is
order to what to keep us away from the truth,
the truth.
pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah,
1,000%. It's all designed as a giant distraction, as a giant fun house that
Mhm.
turns into a freaking nightmare once you learn the truth.
He put another comment there. So he said, "Yeah, you're on point with my question. As a member of a Protestant church, deeply integrated in family community, I'm praying on the call toward orthodoxy, praying for wisdom." Yep.
Glory to God. Glory to
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
It's man. Yeah. It keeps you there. There's no, there's always I'd say you could always like get good out of wherever you are from the right perspective, but it's like at the end of the day, you're stuck there, you know. Forward progression is not there, but
I think a version of hell is literally knowing that you stop the journey. Like, you stop where you are after you realize where you are is no longer affiliated with the truth.
yeah,
And I'm not talking about external. I'm talking, it's both internal and external to some varying degree. You know what I'm saying? You follow the truth wherever the truth leads.
yeah,
If you stop deliberately because you're like, no, 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 I don't want any, you go into, again, what we've talked about, cognitive dissonance, that becomes a hell all around you. And I've experienced this firsthand in my own life a couple times. I can't handle any more truth. I'm good. I'm good. I tried it because I would see other people. I'm like, I would be fascinated by, like, how do you do that? How do you just shut the switch off and you go, no more truth. I'm good. I'm going to focus on these distractions. I was never somebody that could shut the switch all the way off to the point where it did not affect me anymore. It became intolerable to not to stay in that set of circumstances, surrounded by individuals and surrounded by whatever be institutions, individuals, whatever the case may be, that were diametrically opposed to what I knew at that point to be revealed to me as objective truth in a situation.
yeah.
It becomes hell because then you start lying to yourself. The truth as it's revealed to you, if you don't answer that call, it becomes hell. You know?
And then when it stops tormenting you, that's when you know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But he said also aware of the call for wisdom in that age, build houses, but trying to integrate more and more orthodoxy into daily life. Yep. You can only dip your toe in so many times, Charlie. You got to jump in sometime. But what? But that's good that you're. I'd say that's a good start you've got there. So
Slowly but surely. Slowly but
yep,
surely. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's not, dude, it's not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you that right now. It's not. Like I said, it's like I never thought in my wildest dreams I would become like it's like, again, I've become so diametrically opposed in society that, like, again, it's like I 100% feel like a foreign national in my own country. 1,000%.
Yeah.
It's just like I have nothing in common anymore with pretty much anybody that I come in contact with, other than the fact that I believe we're human. At least I hope so. According to
We don't even know
Father,
that now.
I got about to say, according to Father Stephen Allen, uh, uh, possibly not,
Yeah.
as we suspected, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Word for word almost.
yeah, dude.
Oh, you know what? I should bring up one of his things and play it. That'd be
Yeah,
if I can. Hmm, let's
yeah.
see.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, it's not
As,
a,
oppo-
as opposed to yeah.
as opposed to Feel Legumina.
Yeah. Let's see if I remember my login real quick. Yeah, Theologumena. Toll houses are a Theologumena. Let's see.
That is a good video, though. Whoever posted that, because their critique of what he's been teaching is very solid.
Yeah, we can, honestly go through that after.
Yeah, see if you can see if you can get Stephen Allen's podcast up there, Father Stephen Allen.
Hmm.
Talk about a savant of an individual. Another one, and then also it's the
We could
funniest
listen to
thing
the first episode,
because this individual, it's the craziest thing because of course we're saying all this stuff and we're over here going who else is talking about this? I can't
and
find
he's
anybody else
been
on the
doing it.
internet. Haven't met anybody else in reality in real life that's ever talked to. I've never heard other than Nathan here. And then we get recommended this podcast, Orthodox Survival Guide, that this Father Stephen Allen of the GOC did as kind of a tribute to Father or Saint Seraphim Rose, as an updated version of it. And we're listening to it just going, what the I mean, literally, I mean, talk about one mind. I mean, up until that point, I had not heard a single other person ever talk about the stuff that we have been talking about.
And it's just like fact to him. He's just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, he's just, oh yeah, yeah. This is just totally normal. It's like, well, it hadn't been normal to us. This is like trial by fire over here, Father. But I mean, he just brilliant individual, absolutely brilliant, brilliant man. He is, and yeah, we deeply enjoy his Orthodox. Highly recommended. Matter of fact, we should post that
Yeah.
in the
I'll put
description.
the link in there.
We should start posting that in the video descriptions. That's a phenomenal resource.
Yep. But feel free anytime you guys can click the stream button or the link in the comments. You can join
Questions,
uh
comments, concerns, gripes, you name it.
discussion
We're
topics.
wide open tonight.
Yep. Also put any questions you want in the comments if you don't want to come on here, or not just questions, maybe points or anything. So uh yeah, let's just listen to it and see if we can hear something that's good. It's all good, but you know what I mean.
Starting a new course tonight in our adult classes, and I call this Orthodox Survival Course. And of course, I shouldn't say of course, because actually physical survival is a big question nowadays. But I'm not talking about our physical survival, although that is another question, the physical survival of actual Orthodox people and Orthodox cultures. But primarily I'm
Which
talking
episode is
about our
this?
spiritual
One,
survival, right? And often our
the
physical
intro.
survival is the outcome of our spiritual survival, although not always, because our spiritual stance may lead to martyrdom, right? So in the case of the martyrs, their spiritual survival led to their physically being killed. But in the case of many people, their spiritual survival, that is,
I find that so incredibly refreshing. I don't mean to pause it already, but that it's the thing that everybody you talk to, like before, even in Orthodoxy and before it, it's like, and who knows, what I would do. That would all be dependent on, you know, God's help. But how it's like he starts off saying, yeah, you probably might have to die for your faith. And that's
Yeah.
like the first thing he says in the first 40 seconds. It's like,
Which, by the way, should be, well, this is just my personal opinion, 2 cents, or whatever it's worth. Uh, that should be the first thing in every catechism class.
yeah,
Okay, do you guys know why you're here? It should be like, okay, go line up at the back of the room, you know, and there's a line at the back of the room. Those who are prepared to die for the truth, go ahead and cross the line and go have a seat.
yeah.
Those who are not,
It's like boot camp.
yes,
Yeah,
because what do you think? What
it
that's
is.
what
It's
it is.
spiritual. It's
It's
spiritual
spiritual
war.
boot camp.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be anyway. I
yeah.
would think.
And we've got it cushy over here. Let me tell you.
Oh my, yeah. That's
So
the one
like,
thing over here in Neo Babylon / Neo Rome that,
so I
yeah,
talk about this like lightly because
physically,
I have no clue. I would like to think that that I would be granted strength in that moment, you know, but I would say that in all other, like, nobody's gonna die for something they do on the weekends. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like, if it's we've all got a lot of work to do, but like if it's not like the thing on your mind, like all the time, like is it really real to you?
Yeah,
So I feel
yeah,
like that's a great off the rip, uh thing to say in an introductory class to orthodoxy, you know.
yeah. Well, yeah, because it sets the tone and frames it for, because though we have it cushy here in the West, well, specifically the United States,
Yeah.
like
There's still
it might be,
sacrifice.
it's physically, but it's also spiritually. It's literally hell once you
Yep.
acknowledge the truth.
Yep.
I mean,
It
it's
is.
brutal. It's brutal. You are effectually, as soon as you say I'm I'm doing this, I'm all in. It's you're swimming upstream for the rest of your life
Yeah.
in this culture. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. And it's tough to be able to state that, especially to um Charlie, God bless you. It's just like but people coming in, and just newer people, it's really tough to know know what lies around the corner, and but
Yeah.
still, ease them into it, I don't
Yes.
know, but it's a tough line to cross, and I leave that up, to people better suited for that than me, but we're not going to hold any truth back that we know. So we
Yeah.
got to hopefully that made sense in my word salad, but here we go.
I think we got the point.
Yeah. Here's let's continue on with the survival course.
Their spiritual strength kept them alive, enabled them to go on, enabled them to establish families, to establish communities, to pass on their faith to their children, and so forth. So our purpose is to survive as Orthodox Christians, to remain in the church. And our purpose in our course is what I'm calling an Orthodox philosophy of history, a way to understand our life today in light of what's gone before us. Because there's a concerted effort now to wipe out people's historical memory or to distort history so that you don't know where you came from and therefore you don't know where you're
Mm,
going. And then, so people who don't know their history and don't know the truth of where they came from can easily be manipulated. Right? People with no sense of history, no sense of who they are, have no roots, have no identity, can be manipulated. And that's true of our faith. The faith is the primary place we get our identity from. And if we have to understand the history of our church and the history of the world we live in as it's interacted with the church, and this will enable us to understand our situation today, what's the situation we're living in, and which gives us strength to make good choices, to set our priorities correctly. Okay. So our acquiring reading my notes.
I
what's up?
remember hearing that for the first time and going, "Thank you, God!
Yeah.
Somebody gets it.
The way he said it
Somebody
too.
can see it. We're not crazy."
Yeah.
I mean,
The way
because,
he said it was
oh
just
my,
so eloquent too. Just like right down the middle road there.
oh my gosh, dude. I mean, 2AT hits
Yep.
the nail on the head. That's
Yep.
exactly what's going on. I've had comments with family members. They're like, history's irrelevant. I don't even like history. It's like, well, it's not a matter if you like history or not. In order to orient yourself with reality, you need to understand history. You need to have an accurate account for history because history is how you literally orient yourself to reality. It's like how did the event how did you get here? How did you get up this morning? What did you eat? Like how do you account for what you've done over your life? Now zoom out even further than that. Like to say that history is irrelevant isn't only could come from this brave new world that we're living in right now.
And it's a lot more recent than you think when you actually look at it.
Right.
When you actually
Yeah.
and ultimately from the highest view, zoomed all the way out, all of history distortion is to keep you away from what is the truth, which is the church,
Yeah.
which is Christ. That's what it's all the distortion, all the things you can fall into, all the misconceptions and oh, what year is this? What war was this? Whatever's distorted, it all matters, but it all matters in light of
Yes.
what it is actually distorting, you know.
Definitely. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Are acquiring and then interiorizing, that is putting inside of ourselves, making our own. Right? The church's view of history is critical because only those who understand the past can understand the present and deal with it effectively. So when evil people destroy our history or they rewrite our history, right, that enables them to deceive us, to control us. And so by understanding our current situation better, we can acquire interior peace. So the first result of understanding, say if you're in a crisis situation, you're in a disaster situation, you're in a trouble situation, you don't know what to do next. Now, the first step is to understand the nature of your situation. You haven't fixed it yet, right? You haven't made any choices yet, but just knowing what's going on, just honestly knowing the situation and assessing it all and seeing it is you already acquire peace, you acquire stability. You know the truth. Our Lord said, know the truth and truth will set you free. So even when people are suffering a great deal, if they know the truth, it gives them deep inner peace, right? That can't be taken away from them. And that's why the enemies of the church, the enemies of ourselves, right, are always trying to quash the truth. They can have control over 98% of the discourse in public. One little person says the truth, and they go into overdrive, trying to no, shut them up and put them in jail and kill them and say they're crazy and so forth, because the truth is very powerful, and truth can give us peace. Okay. Another reason we need to think with the mind of the church to understand history is that alone of all so-called world religions, the Christian faith is a faith of history. Now, this is hard for us to understand. Living in the modern world, studying history in school, everybody goes studies history in university and so forth. It's hard for us to realize that at one time, there was no science of history. At one time, there are very few historical writings. And the whole science of history, the whole understanding that we live in a history, that we started at point A and we went to point B and we go to point C, and that we're going on a trajectory from one time to another, is a specifically Christian idea. Because remember, all people's concept of the world.
When you were coming out of Catholicism, going into a Protestant church, was it Baptist, right? I think.
Yes. Well, yeah. No, we did non-denominational for a very short period of time, and then it was Baptist
Yeah.
for like
When
3 years.
did you ever, from your Roman Catholic background, did you ever like bring up church history to him or ask him about like the councils or anything like that?
Never once.
Huh.
Never once. Because it was again, I use that term I use that saying that I said, like the sun rises and sets on Rome.
Yeah.
Like it never Roman
Never
Catholicism
thought to ask.
it's a cult
Yeah.
because it's like being a Mormon in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, because it's a culture that you're raised in, and you just assume it's like it's the church, and nobody that I really like the intellectualism and the study of the history, that the phenomenon that's kind of the resurgence that's happening now was definitely not going on when I was younger. Like that was not a thing.
Yeah.
Certainly not amongst youth. Like that was not a like that was like the most yawn boring, like nobody cared about, like, oh, church history. Ooh, yeah, whoop dee. Yeah, nice. Okay, whatever. Anyway, look at the time, must be like nobody cared. Um, so everybody just assumed, like, well, this is the church that Christ founded. Yeah, sure, the Pope. Okay, yeah, great. Like everybody, and I think most people like loosely understand like Roman Catholicism and history. Like they don't understand, where did the papacy, when did that happen? When did, like, what was the, but I can tell you this, there is never, ever a mention of orthodoxy in any way, shape, or form, not even alluding to, not once, never,
Yeah.
ever,
And now they're having to
ever.
kind of face it now, with all the online
Oh,
debates and stuff like
oh,
that.
oh, oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know they're getting pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But
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 yeah,
again,
what I
it's
was
an echo chamber.
well, that's I never really did either the whole entire time because I was one of the people that would never have cared, growing up. Uh, and but now that I have looked into it, I don't know everything about it, but I know the general progression of it. Uh, is that if you do ask somebody who's in a Baptist church or or Protestant church about this, like they don't go back past the Reformation,
Uh-huh.
which is always interesting. But according to what he's saying right now, if you it's the saying that you learn in like second grade at school. It's like if you forget the past, you're doomed to repeat it. It's like everybody knows that, but they all forget the past. They all don't care. It's like a mind trick to get you to actually forget it.
That was the thing that scared me more than anything, was, and I'll never forget this, when I was always like like hyper obsessed with history from a very young age. Like I just everything, anything, like, obvious. The last history that I ever went into was church history,
Yeah,
surprisingly and ironically enough. But every other version of history, but mainly the history of the 20th century and warfare, and
that was
you
my
know
favorite thing too.
oh yeah, 100%,
Especially
like,
with my great grandpa being alive and telling me about World War II and stuff.
oh yep.
That was always my, what I liked looking into.
An obsession,
Yeah,
and that then spiderwebbed. But I remember, but learning about the 20th century, that there was something about the 20th century that just fast, obviously it was like, for me it was palatable. I was like an old soul. I firmly believe from a very young age that I was born in the wrong. I obviously was wrong in thinking this, but at the time, thinking that I was born in the wrong, d- you know, the wrong generation, and yada yada yada. Because I'd read about, you know these generations from, the early 20th, the late turn of the 20th century, and, or I'm sorry, 19th century, and then of course everything that happened in the 20th century, and it just seemed way more real. Our generation, millennial generation, of like the technology that was emerging and everything, and just life seems so, to me, dull in comparison to, what the past was. But that was when I was very naive. But I remember having the realization. I think it was when I think it was when I was in high school. I think I was like, I don't know, probably maybe a sophomore. I want to say, maybe. And Obama got elected in 2008. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is this is madness. Like, uh like, this guy that's espousing socialist policy. Now, again, this is how naive I was at the time, but a guy that's espousing socialist policies has just been like, I would argue, like, pretty much bona fide Marxist. Like, he's espousing Marxist jargon, like, talking points, and this man just got elected president of the United States. I remember thinking to myself, like, this is eerie. This is scary. And why is nobody else talking about this? Does my history teacher even see the parallel here? Of course he didn't. Like, one of my history teachers, a female, was like, oh, this is the greatest day ever. We've finally elected. This is a white hippie woman that was my history teacher. And she made us sit there as she espoused this, like, literally, like it was almost like a communist. Like, she held up the newspaper and she made this big spectacle about like how much of a monumentous like occasion this was that a black, an African American man was elected uh president of the United States. And I'm like, is this all we're focused on here? Like, did you hear what's come out of this
That's
guy's mouth?
disqualification.
Yeah. What happened to judge a man by his character, not by the color of his skin? Like, I just remember thinking, like, that was the fundamental like moment where I had this paradigm shifting one of several in my life where I realized, oh, okay, like like I feel like I'm living on an island of myself here, and like I- I'm again that whole stranger in a strange land type of feeling, but realizing like history might be getting ready to repeat itself, and I might be the only person that might be picking up on this right now in this room. And then that graduated to like, who in my society when I'm having this conversation? Nobody. It was just the basic talking points that everybody repeats over and over again about politics and yada yada yada. It's either, oh, I hate that, oh, freaking, he's a damn blah 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 blah, this and that, or it was, oh my gosh, he's the savior of the universe, but nothing nuanced in between. And to me, that was petrifying because I'm like, oh yeah, I've read about this. I know what this is. This is that ideological capture that happened in the 20th century. But it's like, again, history doesn't repeat itself; it rhymes. But it's being reinstituted now in present day. What is this going to turn into? I remember thinking that. I remember having that moment, and only to realize like people have no grasp of history at all. Because I talk about this as a young guy of like, do you not know about what are you talking about? I slept through that portion of history class. I don't care about history. The average American doesn't. They don't give a rip. They don't care. They don't care. You talk about, you know, Mark. Have you read the Communist Manifesto? Like one in probably, I don't even. I don't even want to guess the statistics of what that might be. That have actually read the book from cover to cover. They know what it says. Many probably espouse, oh, I understand the basic concept of Marxism. But like, do you know, have you read the book? Like one in probably, I don't know, maybe 100,000, maybe like these days, maybe in America. Um, it's relatively
I sure
rare.
haven't.
Case in point.
Yeah.
It's like, why would I need to read that? It's
Yeah.
like, well, because these things are literally have been instituted into the fabric of our society and our reality around us, and they're literally been reinvented in the form of I could go on and on. In the form of the Frankfurt School. Do you know what the Frankfurt School is? No, I have no idea what the Frankfurt School is. Well, did you blah blah blah? Like, dude, like nobody had any point of reference on any of this stuff. And I'm like, this is going to lead into a very, very dark place very, very quickly. And then but I was still naive in other ways. And then going into working for the government, realizing like, well, surely it's not the whole thing is corrupted. Surely this is just a passing, this is just a phase. Like we'll get out of this eventually. uh, uh, that's when the real
I
reality
actually
check
had
hit me.
my government teacher, my senior year in high school, teach us how socialism is better than a republic.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I had yeah
And I was
those
the
in
only
spades.
one looking
Yeah,
around, like telling these people, and yeah, she didn't like
yeah.
me.
Yeah, yeah. Can it, Mister? Can it? Yeah. Can it?
Yeah,
Can it, sir? Or you're gonna be getting sent to detention.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh, it's been, it was petrifying. but it gets compounded on the deeper that you go. Like again, the more questions that you ask, it's the whole thing of curiosity kills the cat. But in this case, it's following. It was always by the grace of
Saves the
God.
cat.
Yes, yes. When you're following the truth,
Yeah.
not just curiosity for curiosity's sake. I think then it holds serve. But
Then
when you're following the
it's
truth,
idle.
maybe curiosity martyrs the cat, perhaps.
Yeah.
But like at a
Just
certain
like he was
point.
saying, Father Stephen Allen just then.
Yeah, yeah. But you get to a point where you realize that society and the fabric of society, like this modern day that we're living in, is just an echo chamber of the past repeating itself because everybody has completely forgotten about it. To his point, it's all brilliantly stated that you cannot have the fullness of the truth without an accurate understanding of the past and the history.
Memento Mori commented, he said, Christ is risen. What's the current topic? Truly, he is risen. And the current topic is the importance of history. So continue. Sorry. I just wanted to answer him real quick.
Oh no, yeah. It's yes, we're breaking down Father Stephen Allen's Orthodox Survival Guide here. Um his first episode, and he's in the intro right now, talking about, as Nathan just stated, the importance of history and how we're living in a time right now where history is essentially being erased. And we're living in this, like, we don't know, people don't know where they're coming nor where they're going at the moment. And it's just, it's spiritual chaos is kind of what I think what he's about to be working up to.
Yeah.
um because we have no concept of what history actually is to
And you
orient
have
ourselves
to,
with reality.
it's also sad though, as well, because like I understand why it would be a really tough thing, even if you like wanted to have time to do these, to like look into stuff. But it's like people got all these things happening to him, just like what he was saying earlier when he was talking about the tech, the banking. The whole world around us is meant to keep us away from this, to give us problems, to give us, peaks and valleys, to not look into this, So
Yes.
it's a sad thing as well because there's probably a lot of people that would, and they're just like so caught up where you know, it's
we're
just
we're,
a tough
we're
thing.
living we're living in a giant satanic ritual,
Yeah.
and the hope we have is in Christ. Again, we somebody stated earlier we have nothing to fear. Amanda, I believe it was,
Mhm.
and it's 100% correct. We don't have anything to fear,
Yep.
except God Himself. And she very accurately stated. I think she said,
That we should
except we
forget.
shall forget the way the Lord has led us. Brilliantly stated.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I believe, because that's exactly right. Lose the path. Lose. What does it say in the Psalms? Lord, be a light unto my feet and a lamp unto my path. You lose that light in that direction, and that is a fate worse than death.
Yeah. Yep. And then you get the people that will it upon themselves to not even want the light, even though it's like right there to take. It's
Yeah,
like,
indeed.
oh, just keep going.
Yeah.
This is actually the light.
Yes, and see, the scary part is in the world that we're living in today that has erased history, and that we're living in this
The false light.
topsy-turvy, like, carnival funhouse that we're living in now. It's like y- you're rewarded for that.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
give it up. Just give it up, and like I said, you won't have to worry about that anymore. And it's like, yeah, eh, you know, and you don't. But the scary part is you don't know until it's too late. But it puts you in the zombified state where it's like you have all of the fleshly, earthly pleasures that you could ever possibly imagine. If you just, it's like the Matrix. Not to use that not Gnostic allegory, you know, of a film as an example, but it's fitting, I think, for this making this point is like, when uh what's his name? Um uh
The guy with
uh
the mustache.
yeah, Cypher, I think it wasn't it Cypher?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember what his
He just wanted to eat his
it'll
cake
hit me,
and
the
forget
Italian
everything.
guy, the Italian guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you, yeah. Just make me somebody famous, and I want to, you know, make me somebody. All the list of demands. It's like no problem, done.
Yep.
All it requires is your soul.
Yep.
No big deal. Like that's the age that we're living in. It's so much more enjoyable and pleasurable to the flesh if you just give up on seeking the truth. But seeking the truth is refining and painful and unpleasant, and yeah, it's and you're like, well, why do we do it?
You gotta sell it better than that. Come on now. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
you can't sell it. That's the
Yeah,
point.
you
It's like
can't.
it's something indescribable that when you follow it, it's like there's nothing else, no place that I'd rather be than there, because it's like it's the most at peace that you could possibly. You're not going to like all of the world. It's just one distraction after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. The merry-go-round that never ends. Have experienced it firsthand myself. Have ridden that merry-go-round, like ridden it to the fullest extent, tested it for validity. It leads nowhere, and it's fleeting and fickle. Whereas the truth, it is it's whole. It completely sustains, and you can't find it anywhere else. And again, you get to a point where you become so accustomed to it because it's like I have to have it to exist and survive, and you realize that to a varying degree, where it's like, and you realize the things that you were indulging in the world that you were being fed, that for a time were pacifying and soothing you temporarily, are make you spiritually, physically, in a lot of cases physically, like ill. And it's terrible. And so the only place where you can get that, where you become like desperate for it, is the truth. But that's after seeking it for such a period of time, where you start to realize and you've accepted reality as it is, which is twisted and evil and upside down, in this world that we're living in, for this period of time in the age of which we're living in, as the world's passing away. But then you start to see the good in, the earth that God's created, and you focus on the thing, like St. Paul said, focus on the things that are good.
Yeah.
And you realize it's like, in the midst of all of this, that's that peace that surpasses all understanding that is written about in the scriptures. And you realize that's the only thing in this life that's worth pursuing. And you'll pursue it no matter what the cost or no matter what the consequences.
Yep.
But you ain't
This guy.
selling it, brother. There ain't no marketing pitch for it. I can tell you that right
No.
now.
Yep. Yep. This guy Billy Carson, he said a crazy Protestant rabbit hole is the little season Revelations 20 obsessed people. They get mixed up in the Tartaria stuff, but it definitely does seem like we are living under a great deception. What do you know anything about that about Tartaria?
No.
Somebody brought that up at my place I used to work recently. Is a old kind of an older guy, but I mean not an old guy, but an older guy. And he was like always watching it on TikTok, and like always it's like apparently like I forget the year, but like 200 years ago in the 1700s, like the world actually, ended or whatever. And like the society that was wiped out, and now they've rewritten history to delete that too. And now we're under the great deception. It's
Well,
kind of
there's actually a version of that I think actually is true.
yeah, well there's written accounts of these massive, events happening, like fire coming down from uh the sky, and earthquakes and massive floods and stuff in that time period. So there's actually like handwritten things that across the globe at the same time period that where this happened. But
Yeah.
um but yeah.
Yeah. But you think of where we are today, and it's like our entire society is made up and comprised of lies and delusion to keep the masses fixated on,
The
a
actual
carry.
deception.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So it's like, yeah, no, and has history been rewritten? Yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah, big time.
I would say even history has been fabricated in order to make these claims.
Yes,
Like I would say that, you know, it might be a crazy claim and I'm not, you know, whatever, go look up what you want and but like what I think is just the theory where Satan like he knows like what the end's going to look like but doesn't really know how it's going to happen, but he does all these things in order to discredit the future,
yes,
you know. Um so
yes.
that we end up like this. We're like, oh well, this happened this time. Well, they thought the world was going to end then, so blah, 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 so it's never going to end.
100%. Well, what do you see? What do we see unfolding literally right now as we speak? Again, all playing this into. So this is how much is compact. This is how profound, and what Father Stephen Allen's been saying just right here in his just initial intro. But like,
4
look
minutes
what
in
we.
the intro.
I know, yeah, yeah. Look what we see playing out, like what we've been talking about over and over again, like this Christian nationalism,
Mm,
literally spanning every denomination of so-called Christianity now. Like every single denomination is now pushing this because they don't believe that, oh, the end is not near. Well, they've been saying that 'cause it's the same thing that everybody says, the same thing the Protestants say. Oh, well, they've been saying that every generation. It's like the wiser Protestants will say, like, oh yeah, because you got so many that are like, oh, the end's any day now. The rapture is going to happen any day. And then you'll have,
blink of
maybe
an
one
eye,
person will go, yeah, but they've been
deep in
saying
the
that every
night.
generation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Every generation they've been saying that. It's like, it's the same version and now in world Orthodoxy where it's like, there's this obsession with like, we're going to take the society back and we're going to establish the kingdom of God. We're going to reestablish again, like we've been talking about, like they've been talking about
Yeah,
Byzantina, all based off of the premise that like where we are in history, people have lost the plot. It's like you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention to what's going on around you, because if you're paying attention to what goes on around you, there's landmarkers of where we're at, like which we were promised. We were not promised to know the time and the hour, but we were told what the signs would be, that we are getting really really close to the end, and they're everywhere. And one could say, oh well, they've been everywhere. Yes, but they come. If you haven't noticed the pattern, it comes in cycles. What did Christ call them? Birthing pains. They come in cycles throughout history. It's not linear. It comes in patterns. As 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 time unwinds, we start to we start to see, like, you start to see, and if you're looking at what's taken place throughout history, you start to see these cycles of where these birthing pains of contrant, of expanding and contracting, of you know good time, war and peace, good times, bad times, you know um and like, you see that history is a pattern that rhymes, but it all leads up to, and then you start to be able to kind of see these things are leading up to a crescendo at some point, when all of the pieces, the proper pieces are in place, applicably. And you also realize how profound the words are, that only my Father in heaven will know. You realize that you couldn't possibly predict exactly when it's going to happen. You can't, but you can tell we're getting closer, and you can tell where we are now is like we are close, possibly, like it's totally but probable that it could literally be in our lifetime. There's no promises. It could be in our lifetime. It could be in our great grandchildren's lifetime, but it's still relatively closer than it was. And like, you don't want to play Russian roulette with being like, it's not going to happen in my lifetime, because that's probably exactly when it would happen. Because that's
that's
exactly how he works.
that's what he
Oh,
said.
you
Well,
think
that's
you
when
got
he
it
said it
figured
would
out,
happen.
huh?
That's when he said it would happen.
That's exactly.
Uh,
When people would be going about, it would be as is in the days of Noah. Will I even find faith when I come back? That's what he said. Like, what are we looking at here?
Memento Mori said Father Stephen Allen has some excellent discussions and lectures. He was one of the bigger factors in helping me leave world orthodoxy when I was trying to look at the history with genuine search for the truth.
Oh yeah.
He's a awesome piece of the puzzle for that, for sure. And what we'll
Yes,
do,
yes.
even after this, like Josh said already, we'll put this survival course link in the description for anybody interested.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Billy Carson, he said, it's like a full preterist view, right? So this is the Tartaria thing, the little season that he's talking about. He said they say Christ literally reigned physically on earth with the saints. And right now Satan is actively trying to cover up the archaeological evidence. That's their theory.
Well, we would say that actually did happen during the reign of during Byzantinum, the first
Well,
time
yeah,
and
that was
only time.
I'd say we are in the little season, but like I said, this isn't backed up by
Now, this is just our thoughts.
yeah. But like if you take in the account, the year, the time span, 33 AD up approximately, beginning of yeah, there he goes. He's saying it right there. Sorry,
Yep,
the
yep,
AD. But yeah, the establishment of the church and then the split of Rome, roughly
yes.
1,000 years.
So they're trying to hijack, of course, and that makes perfect sense that they would be
But he's
trying to
saying that he
hijack
was
that.
actually here,
Oh
we
yeah, yeah,
yeah, like
yeah.
he
No,
actually came back and then
no,
now he's let Satan out
because they don't think
to deceive the
metaphysically.
world.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
think metaphysically, and they can't understand spiritually how he could be here, but in symbolically in spirit,
Yeah.
men will worship
In
me
the
in the
church.
spirit.
Yeah.
Yes, and they did for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
He reigned over the known world,
Yeah.
all of the Western world. But he said only for a time before the enemy. It says in the
Yeah.
book of Revelation,
Yeah, he's
before
saying
the
that's
enemy
the
will.
Protestant idea, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, but I think this is where even the church is
Oh, for sure.
possibly missing the script. This is what we've been talking about. Is like, dude, while they're going to try to resurrect Byzantinum for a second time,
They think they're prepping it for
that's come and
Christ.
gone. What do you think is coming next? Another Byzantinum? Where is that ever spoken about? Well, they say, oh well, again, they're funny because it's all these, as we've talked about in another video relatively recently, it's all of these saints, quote unquote saints on Mount Athos that give these, I personally believe, ridiculous nonsense prophecies about, oh, America will be holy and yada yada yada, and then basically like all this whole like timeline that's taking place, and like it's like okay, yeah, maybe. Or you could just go back to the saints and what they were incongruency saying for 2,000 years of what it was all pointing to, which there was going to be what it says in the scripture, a one world religion, a figure that would be the man of perdition, the antichrist, that would reign for 7 years, however that looks like, but it's all leading up to that point eventually. There's been antichrists throughout, the last 2,000 years, but it will crescendo into there being one final personification, evil personified, the offspring of Satan, before it's all said and done. And everybody's saying, well, there's going to be this new Byzantinum and blah, 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 blah. They're not saying a new Byzantinum, but they're saying like America's going to be Orthodox and blah, 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 blah. And you've got people like Andrew Wilson talking about, well, we're going to establish a truly Christian society. And what they want to govern morality. We've talked about this before. What are you talking about? And they use the justification, well, if we don't, then that means the Muslims are going to do it, or so because somebody else is going to do it. Yeah, but that's not your job. It's not your job. When is it like when has it been the job of Orthodox Christians post the Byzantine Empire falling for governing the morality inside the society? Has the sun not risen and set on that? Are we not living in the time now where it's time to prepare for all of the things that were promised to come? That if you're going deeper into the truth, you kind of see those things. Like it's not, oh, let me run for political office. To accomplish what exactly? If you're already off base as it is, you're going to go in there to political office and do what? Then try to force Christianity on people? How then are you any better than Islam? How the system is designed now is not in any way, shape, or form congruent with Christianity. And so these individuals who I genuinely believe are like they're literal half-baked intellectuals, name them. We've talked about many of them to explain examples of what we're talking about, but like that are now talking about they want to run for government office to try to instill Christianity, like Orthodox Christianity, into our government. How does that end? Let's play that out. In the system and the society that we're living in today. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that without doing the exact same thing that was done in 1917 and 1924? But this time to secular individuals who say, I don't want to have anything to do with that. Heck no, I don't want to have anything to do with that. That's, dude, I've already been skeptical of Christianity. I damn sure don't want to have anything to do with it. Okay, fine. Then we're going to put you in a prison. How do you think that's going to end?
Yeah.
Genocide, imprisonment, persecution. This time of people who it's like, well, because they didn't bow the knee to the patriarch and constant whoever the patriarch if they got their way in Washington. Dude, I mean, bro, I could write a dystopian novel just off of that.
Yeah, you
Think of
really
all the
could.
different possibilities that ends in. Not a single one that's good. And I've yet to hear like and here's the funny thing. Nobody will come on here and give their like their 2 cents, because it's like we'd be happy to have the conversation. How do you guys think that this is going to be? How are you going to govern morality in this day and age and where we are now, and try to enforce Orthodox Christianity in a society, in a country that its very foundations are satanic? Like the world is under the authority of the evil one. And is that not what Christ said? Like, I don't know. To me, it feels so clear. There was a time where Christianity was the law of the land, and that lasted for 1,000 years. And then what happened after that? He said, "Lu- that Satan will be released one last time to deceive the world." What happened at the end of 1,000 years in Byzantium falling apart? Rome, then
The
the
church
Protestant
got the
Reformation,
church got smaller and smaller and smaller.
and as it has been over and over and over again. So where are we now in history? This is the point. Where are we now? Are we on the dawn of a new golden age Byzantinum, resurrected Neo Byzantinum? Or are we on the dawn of the peace where there is no peace, and the man of perdition?
Peace without truth. Unity
Yes.
without truth.
Yes, because while everybody's getting hyper paranoid about the transhumanism and blah 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 blah, the billionaire Jew, the satanic Jews and the blah 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 blah, I'm like, bro, here's the deal, and I don't know. This is just 100% just a guess and a hunch. But if we do see an antichrist in our lifetime, I don't think it's going to be in any way, shape, or form how anybody's expecting it to be, because that's exactly what it's always been said. And when God Himself says that even the elect could be deceived if possible, you better believe that is going to be one hell, and I do mean literal hell of a delusion. I mean, it's going to be something. So best believe it's not going to be what anybody's going to be expecting. And this guy is going to be selling it. And Nathan and I have talked about this. What more perfect? And we're just riffing here, but what more perfect than it being Orthodox? Because to me, when I hear these guys talking about this, I'm like, that is if I were the devil, as Paul Harvey would say, if I was the devil, the perfect thing, the perfect opportunity that I would be seizing right now would be to absolutely bolster up Christianity in the form of world orthodoxy and give it unprecedented intellectual power and authority to the degree that it would be able to seize power in the secular government that I made as a way as with a bunch of individuals who pledged their allegiance to me already knowingly. And then I do what I do best, and I finally say, well, I'm calling in the bill, and I'm leading you straight to your doom in the form of these individuals who now I have sway over in the form of world orthodoxy, and I establish a reign in the form of false church that is so compelling that you can barely tell, like, who would be able to, as it is, who would be able to tell the difference? How are you going to, when the vast majority of the individuals where orthodoxy is now on the rise right now, world orthodoxy on the rise, how are you going to be able to tell the difference? How are you going to be able to tell the difference? Everybody will seem like, oh, good has finally triumphed over evil. Christianity is finally being truly in its most raw form being instituted inside of our governments again. We've done away with these Bolshevik communist, Kabbalist, satanic Jews, pedophile Jews, and all of their followers and supporters. And we've done away with their Hegelian dialect, and our food's not poisoned anymore, and our women aren't corrupted, and our men are being empowered again. Oh boy, I can totally see the guy pushing that being the man of perdition. But that's just me, and that's just one man's theory. But where's all of it leading? Where is the end of this leading? That's the question. Because we're just getting warmed up. This rise in orthodoxy throughout. This is like a resurgence, hardcore in the West. Where's it all leading? That's a question to ponder. That's what we've been talking about,
Yep.
extensively. And this is what Father Stephen Allen goes into, um, very extensively, in this series, as we'll probably get into more here in just a second. The cope for ecumenism is such a reflection of the papist cope.
I think like it's the same. It's the same logic or mental gymnastics. I think he's saying
Yeah,
to cope with world orthodoxy is the same thing as like trying to justify the Pope as well and like remain Roman Catholic.
it is. And I say
It's
that as somebody who has been, like, again, having been in that, and when you start asking the questions about the Pope, dude, it's like, oh my gosh, man.
it's like asking about
Talk
Sergianism.
about the original mental gymnastics. Oh my word.
Yep.
Well, the Pope just endorsed the LGBTQ. Like, how can he be infallible?
Infallible.
How is he in the line of Saint Peter? How
Well, it
can we
must be
say
right
that?
then. It must be right.
Watch your mouth. You're talking about the Pope.
Yeah.
And I wish I was being dramatic in that physical example that I was just giving right there, because I'm not at all. The visceral reactions from people of, like, we don't question the Pope. It's like, well, I just did, and I wish, part of me wishes that I didn't. But it's like, I mean, it is crazy. And then the same phenomenon to that point happened as we experienced inside World Orthodoxy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, Nathan and I have had conversations, like, digitally lately about, like, with people from World Orthodoxy. This is a phenomenon of the justification for, again, the mass martyrdom of two different cultures, the Greek culture and the Eastern European culture under communism. The rationalizations and the justifications for Sergianism and the old calendar change is and the atrocities that took place are nothing short of absolutely jaw dropping, as we've been talking about pretty extensively. It's it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and to see how the visceral hatred for people inside world orthodoxy, for those who stand in opposition to this insanity, is it's palatable. They hate us with a passion. We are the rebel scum that, in their eyes, sold the faith down. Ironically, sold the faith downriver, and were the cowards that left. And we, I mean, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And I'm like, dude, like that is, if that's not the perfect projection, I do not know what is, of someone who has no idea what they're talking about,
Yep.
no
And
concept of history.
it
Same.
just the biggest thing for me, dude, is like it's not the biggest thing, but it's like one of the things that stands out that just I don't see how a logical mind could rationalize this is like you have saints that were patriarchs and bishops that are recognized in the Moscow Patriarch that were martyred by them, and then they are about to they're in talks and probably going to canonize our Patriarch Sergius
No,
as
I
a saint.
I know, dude. I know. Well,
It's
how
like,
about this? Do you see what Billy Carson just put up here?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Literally,
yeah. Look, it's
yeah,
classic
post that.
dire stream.
Dude, literally happened yesterday on a dire stream. He called out Father Josiah for ecumenism, and even his dude. We got to find this.
Yeah,
Billy Carson, if you want to, if I don't know if you have it, you have it like handy, if you have it in your history, whatever. But if you want to post that link in the chat, if you can, that would be very helpful.
from the
Literally happened
time.
yesterday. Yeah, literally happened yesterday on a dire stream. He called out Father Josiah. See, that is unprecedented.
Yeah,
Called out Father Josiah for ecumenism, and dude, the irony is incredible. It's dude, that's richer than tiramisu, my friend.
yeah.
Father Josiah for the ecumenism, and even his folks started to get him, started getting
All the
on him
dancing
to show
monkeys.
respect, bro. But Jay Dyer calling out Father Josiah, because again, we've said it many times. Father Josiah Shrem, like he I don't know what happened to that guy. He was one of the guys that
Wait. Is he saying that somebody called in to Jay Dyer and called out Father Josiah,
uh
or is did Jay Dyer call him out?
uh
I might be
yeah,
reading that wrong.
yeah, Billy, can you clarify, my man? It sounds like he's saying that Dyer called out Father Josiah Trenum,
And then all his people turned against him.
which wouldn't surprise me because Dyer does. He gets, he gets wrapped up in the God complex kind
Oh,
of.
Jay Dyer called him out. Okay, I see now.
Dyer did.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Dyer's been on a roll lately. He just
Let's head there.
conquered two Freemasons. I think he just handedly put Freemasonry in the grave, for good and for all. I don't know if you saw that debate, but I watched it. It was a bloodbath. They got absolutely they got destroyed, and glory to God for that. But I
Yeah.
also thought to myself, it's like Dyer's gonna have a dude. If you thought his ego was big before that, I mean, bro. It increased. It increased in size by like probably 50
It's like the
times
heart. It's like
50 after that. Holy it was, I knew it. After that one, I'm like, yeah, this guy is thinking he's God right now. And you can see it because I watched it, just got done listening to his debate today with another Protestant pastor, and just the way he's talking to people now is just like, you dumb imbecile. It's like, it literally, he calls them idiots, tells them to shut up. Um, you know, like, are you dumb? Are you literally stupid? It's like, how are you, like, even if it's a debate tactic, how do you talk to people like that? and expect them to be like, oh yeah, totally, you're definitely, there's some truth with you, like Christ is with you for sure. I'm just, but it's like it's his ego. It's just it's like he's just drunk on the power, and you can tell he thinks he's subtle about it, but he's not. But that doesn't surprise me. But the
Yeah.
irony of it is that him calling out Father
They're in
Josiah Trenum
communion.
is such an unbelievably ballsy move, because it's like,
Yep.
first of all, it's true. Father Josiah Trenum, like, he went so far off the reservation recently that it's just like, I'm just like, what happened there? I mean,
Yeah.
he went from
A lot
calling
of
it,
his a lot of his early stuff was like a
oh,
big
it was on the nose,
conversion
man. It
tool
was on the
conversion.
nose. But you know, the speculation is that he had some type of a, you know, a a uh
A re-education.
a re-education with, probably with the bishop, that basically was like, because they made him take his channel down for a year, and he did it, and then he came back, and once he came back, man, it wasn't the same at all. And then now we got Gavin Orland, and he's doing these secular conferences, and it's like, what in what? And he's talking Christian nationalist now. It's like it's incredible, and the way he paints the picture of the founding fathers and all this other. It's like, what the what happened to you? So then, of course, Jay Dyer calling him out, but that's the peak irony, because it's like, are you kidding me right now? Like, Dyer, dude, you ain't watching your flank, my man, at all. And of course he's not, because he thinks he's above reproach now, and he thinks he's unstoppable. You know, that's the guy complex. And but like, do you not remember? Because it's gonna come back to haunt you. Did you not get pretty chummy with Metropolitan Jonah? You know, Mr. Chief Ecumenist himself, and like, let's not even talk about like your synod. Like, you guys, never in my wildest dreams, because it's like this in World Orthodoxy. It's perceived as though Rocor is kind of like the ones that are kind of pretty much holding on to the faith. They're the ones kind of holding steadfast, like, where the rest of them are like definitely going head on into ecumenism. But the irony is like Rocor in a lot of ways is worse than even
Because they
Goark or the
know.
Antiochians.
They
I
knew
mean,
the truth.
they did, and they just went, Never mind."
Yeah. Yeah,
I
we'll
like
take that deal.
I like uh I like fancy titles, and I like being able to rub shoulders with the guy that wears $30,000. Wears $30,000 uh um uh uh Patek Philippe watches, um uh um and flies around in private jets, and has a personal security detail like he's the president or something. And is best buddies with the secular, with like a bona fide, like psychopathic, you know uh uh regime premier, and then claims that, but we're fully autonomous. It's petrifying, as we've talked about now in depth. um but like, you want to say that, you, you want to call out Father Josiah Trenum, but like, you're not guilty of the exact same thing, of propagating the exact same thing.
Both your
Were you not
patriarchs are in
just
the World Council of Churches.
were you not just pictured? Did you not just post a picture of yourself with Jonathan Pajot, Mr. King Ecumenist himself, Mr. Symbols, the Ecumenist Symbols himself, and Deacon Seraphim Roland? Did you not? Were you
And
not? Did you not just post a picture of you guys all playing?
wasn't
Playing.
Damick in the picture too?
No, not Damick.
No,
No,
he wasn't. Oh, okay.
no, it was just Sarah from Roland, who was Damick's,
Oh, and
Damick's
Andrew Wilson.
best buddy, Andrew Wilson, and Jonathan Pajot, and like one other guy. I don't know who else was
Yeah.
there. And it was like, oh, we're back to doing this again, I guess, huh? Like, or we're just full on hypocrisy now. So yeah, I find that incredibly ironic that
Huh.
he would blast Father Josiah Trenum over ecumenism, when it's just like, man, okay, all right. I mean, dude,
But those guys
that's
over
peak
there,
hypocrisy.
the true Orthodox, don't even. Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll end
of
up in a
course.
trailer park.
Yeah, they're the trailer park church. Or the trailer park church. Again, once again, peak irony. Yeah. Spoken by somebody whose home church is literally in a strip mall.
Yep.
Nathan and I have been to it.
Yep.
Well, let's just say it's humble, and I ain't making fun of that because there's nothing wrong with that. But the fact of the matter is, if you're going to throw
Using that
stones,
as a
you better not be living in a glass house, my man. And in this case, you're living in a ceramic house.
But look at look at the cathedrals. That's what you say.
Yeah, we're affiliated with the cathedrals. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The physical structures, the grandiosity, the glitz and the glamour. It has to be legit.
We'll go on a few more minutes on this. I'll post the call in link one more time if anybody wants to join and talk about anything. Feel free. We're gonna play a few more minutes of Father Stephen Allen's Orthodox Survival Course and wrap it up here. So call in if you want. And here we go.
Comes from their faith, from their religion. So the great Christian idea. Because remember, all people's concept of the world comes from their faith, from their religion. So the great Oriental religions, whether Buddhism or Hinduism, or the ancient classical view, as we find in ancient paganism or in, say, the ancient philosophy, say Plato, is that life is cyclical. It just goes in a circle. Everything is more or less the same. It just goes to the same cycle, and just the same stuff happens over and over again. Right? And it was the revelation coming from the Old and New Testaments and in the church that transformed mankind's vision into one of linear history. And also that God, and very importantly, so there's linear history, and secondly, that God intervenes in history and does things in history. He's not a distant God who's just in another world and has nothing to do with us. See? Whereas this world is real. In Hinduism and Buddhism, right, this world isn't real, it's illusion. Right? And you're liberated by realizing nothing here is real. And you get rid of all your karma through reincarnations, and eventually you just go to nirvana, right? Your soul is absorbed into the world soul, and that's it. Right? But in the scriptures, God reveals that he's very interested in our history, that this world is real. It's not the most real world. The most real world is the next world, right? Is the kingdom of heaven. But this world is definitely real. Our bodies are real, and our bodies are part of who we are. We don't change our bodies for another body. This is it. And we only have one life to live. And that life is going to be judged by God. And we're going to be placed in paradise or in hell for eternity. So suddenly this life, both my individual history as a human being, and then the history of the whole human race becomes something intensely important, goes from being unimportant and an illusion to being very, very important. And God showed how important this world is by revealing to Moses that he created it out of nothing. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is a revelation to mankind. People hadn't thought of that before. They thought this world was just all there is and just goes round in circles. And then you realize it's an illusion, and you just leave it, and you get absorbed, or you just die. Okay. But that God created this world, and it's real, and then that he comes into the world and he talks to human beings. He talks to mankind. He chooses people to be his friends, his servants. Finally, that he becomes a human being. He becomes a human being. It's the ultimate intrusion of God into history. He actually enters history as a man. And then he doesn't just leave behind, Jesus Christ doesn't just leave behind a philosophy or a morality or a teaching, or, there are plenty of philosophies and moralities and teachings. Jesus Christ left behind a visible body of people called the church, whom he calls his body. Or in another place, the Holy Father say the kingdom of God on earth is the church. Not some glorious kingdom, right, that's going to dominate everybody, but the church. That this is the kingdom of God on earth. And that this church is here in history to affect history, to affect people, to convert them to this faith. And this church, in the course of history, this church created whole nations and directed and profoundly affected the entire course of history. And it's looking forward to the end of history. And history is going to have an end. It doesn't go around in circles. It's a line, and it has an end. And at the end, Christ is going to come again to judge the living and the dead. So the church's entire vision of reality is historical. And so it's very important for Christians to understand the history of the history of the world, the history of the church, but specifically to acquire an orthodox eyes, an orthodox filter to see all this. Okay? We all have access. We have more access to information now than any point in history. You can ask Mr. Constantine, who's constantly sending me books, hundreds of books, thousands of books. We have so many books. We have books in general and more Orthodox books now than available to us at any time in history. So all the information is out there. I can't possibly teach our little course here and give you all the information that you could possibly learn about history or civilizational history or Orthodox or church history. The purpose of our course is to go through history in a very specific way to interpret it from the church's point of view, for us to acquire Orthodox eyes and a way of understanding what's gone before us. And so that in future, when we read books of history, which will be written from an atheist point of view, from a communist point of view, from all kinds of points of views, right? We can look in the book or listen to the audio or look at the video and say, well, I hear the data that this person's quoting, but his interpretation is not right? It's not from the church. It's not from God. The church's interpretation of that event or that person would be this. So we need to acquire these Orthodox eyes and Orthodox understanding to filter history, to understand it. So to see it as a coherent whole, we can be overwhelmed by just the vast amount of data that we're given about things past and things going on in the present, right? So it is really overwhelming. We have information overload, but it's fragmented, right? This information is fragmented. It just comes to us in bits and pieces, and then people can manipulate it and can present it to us any way they want. Okay?
What do you think? And that's what I was trying to kind of get at earlier. I was thinking about it. And yeah, there was history, before Christ, and it was kept. I mean, you look at it. His history is kept by, maybe archaeology, but then archaeology makes no sense without writing or time period, So it's like history is made for God, like the prophets, the Old Testament, like it goes all the way back to the very beginning, and then especially after Christ, now we have a literal account by the year, of when this happened. So it's like
reality. I mean, and one other twist I would just throw this in there is that reality post the fall has been twisted, and the only way out of it, like time, starts because death is injected into the equation.
yeah, time
After
is
the fall.
actually a gift to be able to change.
Well, it becomes flip. It's time gets conquered on the cross. That's the yes, it's a gift, but without Christ and without the acceptance of Christ, who is the truth, the way, and the life, that nobody comes to the Father except through Him. Time is a curse because time is Satan. Time is the curse. Time is like
Yeah,
Chronos.
death.
Chronos is
Yeah,
Chronos is it's the god of time. Like it's Satan. It's the that's it's a huge sense. Chronos is a huge um sensual authority within the within the who was within the pagan world and
the
all the
pantheon.
yeah. But Chronos is Satan. Time in reality. See if I can explain this and de-abstract it enough for it to make sense. Because it's hard to
But it's like
illustrate it.
without him giving us that after sin, then we would have no way to look back and turn away from what we were. So you see what I'm saying?
Yes, what I'm saying. What? Yeah, I'm I'm accentuating your point, which is you're once you accept Christ, time becomes a gift
Mm,
to repent.
right.
But
Yeah, yeah.
it's like a because that but that's also Satan being trampled underfoot because it's
Yep.
time. Because time to someone who
He
rejects
thought
the
he had
truth,
us, and now he conquered. Yeah, it's conquered now.
time to someone who has rejected the truth is is a tyrant. because it's going to claim your soul. Once your time runs out, that's it. Eternal darkness. That's the curse of death. That's death. That's the second death.
Yep. Hmm. I was thinking how to close it out. I was going to read St. Philaret's reminder to the Orthodox Christian, or something that Father Seraphim Rose wrote. Either one will be good, but I think we're about to wrap it up here, guys. If anybody wants to call in, go ahead. I've, of course, now that most people jump on. So, yeah,
That's about the way of it.
yeah,
But we're here.
yeah.
Yeah. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything, topics of conversation, uh differences of opinion, etc. Please don't feel shy. I promise you we do not bite.
Yep. You could even just put them in the comments if you don't want to get on here. But it's highly encouraged.
Yep.
A few more minutes here.
And we can, I don't know about you, but I think an experience of many contemporary people is that the more information they get, the more and more confused they are. A mark of the contemporary psyche is that people are extremely confused. And that's why so many people are so angry, or so many people feel so helpless, right? Because they're confused. They don't know what to make of what they hear or what they see. So they're more and more frustrated. They just retreat into themselves, retreat into video games, retreat into sports games, retreat into drink, drugs, retreat into just depression, right? Because they can't integrate and understand. Because God made us to understand the world around us and to have a place in it and to see the meaning of our lives. Every human being that we know deep down, whether we're baptized or even unbaptized people, right? Christians or heathens, the human spirit, deep down, every human being knows that his life is supposed to have meaning and that life is supposed to be coherent. But people today are being constantly convinced that life is meaningless and it's fragmented. They're just fragments of reality, and they're just trying to get through the day with a minimum of disturbance or with the most pleasure possible, or just without falling into depression or becoming maniacal or whatever their temptation is. You see. So, but as Orthodox Christians, we're very blessed because God's given us the truth, right? And given us the truth of faith that not only affects our interior life or the way we pray or the way we worship, but also gives us a vision of where the entire meaning of our lives as individual people, our lives as family, as a parish, community, our life as a civilization. And because Christianity, or rather, excuse me, the church is not simply this body of Christ, the church. The church can also be understood in a broader sense as an institution that that very significantly, in many ways, can be said to have created this civilization that we live in. At least all the good aspects of it. See, and it's this entire civilization, the entire order of things, that's under attack now, and that's being destroyed, and that's being broken up and remade into a very inhuman or even post-human form.
Yeah.
But if we're securely in the church and we have the church's eyes to see all of this, even though bad things are going on, even though we may not have all the answers to what to do to solve all of our outward problems, inwardly we have stability and peace because we understand where we're coming from, where we're going, what's going on, and what our ultimate destiny is, and that God is in charge, that God is the King of the ages. God is the creator of time. He's the creator of men. He's the creator of history. That even when bad things happen, they cannot escape the sovereignty of God. That God desires our salvation. And that we will not, if we don't want to be lost, we will not be lost. But we have to make efforts.
That's the key. You have to not want to be lost.
Exactly. You gotta want to
He,
get on. You gotta want to get on the life raft.
and then he'll get you there.
100%.
Yeah.
You got to get on. Again, to use the analogy we've used before, there's a party going on the Titanic, and it's a really great party. It's a party that you probably wouldn't want to miss, but you're still on the Titanic. So when that lifeboat attendant's like, "You get it at any time," the Howard, it's where time is running out. The iceberg is, you see it? It's right out there in the distance. We're gonna hit it. It's gonna happen. Well, I'll be there in a minute. Take my chances. You know?
It wasn't
still
an
got free
iceberg,
will.
Josh. Come on.
I know,
I'm just
dude.
kidding, I'm just kidding.
Dude, you had to iceberg my my analogy, but you are 100% right. I would be in full agreement. It might have been more like some trinitro. What is it? Trinitro tanner. Trinitro. I can't remember what the last T in TNT stands for.
yeah, yeah, something.
Yeah, something along those lines. Maybe more likely.
Yep.
Uh huh.
Death to Compromise. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, guys. Well, I think we're gonna probably cut it there. We're gonna put this. I already put it in the description of the video. Unless there's anything else you'd like to talk about, Josh. Is there any other points you'd like to
No,
drive?
I think we covered it. That was about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if you watch this afterwards, we check our comments and stuff. So leave whatever you want in the comments or on any of the other videos. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Uh, and yeah, so that's it. Christ is risen, and we will see you guys.
Hopefully soon,
Yep.
God willing.